be working. Okay, cool. What we're gonna do today is I'm gonna build a very short video, a couple of minutes, in order to show you how avatars are being set in Mixpanel. It's kind of a gimmicky feature, but it can be fun. So I thought, why not? Let's make a short video out of it. Avatars, you probably are familiar with it. It's basically, this is the help page. Mixpanel describes it as add pictures to profiles. Basically what it does is a profile property called avatar, and every time you see a $sign, it means it's a reserved property. It has a specific purpose. In this case, it's to set the avatar, and that's essentially what we're going to do. We're going to set the avatar for one of our users. So let's have a look. If I would, for instance, quickly show you what that would look like. This is a sample. This is a user where we've set Michael Jordan picture as the avatar simply by making sure that this URL corresponds, or that this profile property is filled with the URL leading to this image. Because if I would click on it, I would see the Michael Jordan picture from Space Jam, which is the Michael Jordan we all love, I guess. Let's have a look. So this is our testing environment. Don't pay too much attention to it. We're basically going to simulate this as if we're sending front-end calls, meaning that we're using a JavaScript library. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that I've reset everything, that there's no old cookies or identifiers or whatever lingering around, because I don't want any of that. And then we're going to just test Mixpanel.track, and we're just going to send in an event to make sure that everything is working properly. Let's call it first event. Very simple, very stupid. Usually the things that work. If we now would poof, already in progress, so we should be seeing this coming in. If we would refresh the live view, which by the way you can find here, but also normally under events. If we would refresh this, this usually takes a while, and today it takes a bit longer than I would like. So this is the first event. This is me as a user ID, this browser, obviously. If we would dig into it, and I'm gonna move myself a bit to this side. If we would move this around, why doesn't that stop? Okay, cool. If we would move this around, you see that we don't have any user profile properties that are being set. So we're gonna change that right now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna set the avatar profile property or people property or user property, whatever you want to call it. And you do that by basically sending a mixpanel.people.set call, and it basically looks like this. Sorry, I'm using a Mac keyboard. We're using this, basically poof, and what we're setting is the property avatar. Okay. I'm kind of a Star Trek fan, so today we're going to use Spock picture. What you need to pay attention to is that the extension ends to JPEG. I'm not sure. I think the help page says a bit more about what you can use. HIF, PNG, JPEG, or JPEG. And then there is the possibility to default to a Gravatar account. We're not going to go into that today. I also don't know where Spock went. Spock is here. But so we're gonna copy this URL. We're gonna then push it in here. We're gonna close things up really nicely by using the curly brackets, and then we're gonna send this. Why are we doing this again? I've made the same mistake as I usually tend to make. Okay. What you're seeing now is fairly important. It looks like everything is successful. However, Mixpanel people request is skewed because we're pending for an identifier. The thing is, you cannot set people properties if you haven't identified first. That's kind of a prerequisite of Mixpanel in order to get that done. So let's make sure we do that. We do mixpanel.identify. We're gonna call this guy obviously Spock. And we're gonna send everything through. Poof, you now see that everything is kind of flushing through. Poof, poof. Let's have a look. We're setting a couple of things. You see that user ID is Spock, and we're actually setting a couple of things, including this avatar, which basically is the URL to this image, right? Obviously, we're now mimicking this. We're doing it manually. You can also, if you dig into it a bit deeper, you could set all of these things. If you would go back to the Michael Jordan picture, you could set all of this manually, but that's obviously not what you want, right? You want to play with the automated features in order to get that done. Imagine a user uploads a picture. At that point in time, you can automatically like make the link to a people.set request for the avatar function and also push the image in there. Now let's have a look at all the things that happened. So this was my previous user. I think we're gonna probably see in this event stream an identify call. You see that there's two things happening, but it's basically because we're seeing that users are being merged. It's kind of a downside in this view, but everything will be resolved over time. They will all merge. And basically, if we click into Spock, you would see that this original ID that we had, which we used in order to send in that first event, and this is still the things being merged because we're waiting for the other event to be merged, to being pushed into this feed. But basically what we're seeing is that the Spock picture is now nicely being set. The avatar URL is here. And to come back to my point, if we would go back to the live view and we would single out that first event or that first user ID, you see that this user ID theoretically no longer exists. There's a redirect that happened, and this user is then being attached here. Also, all of the events that are attached to the previous user will be merging in here in the minutes to come. So all of this should be a-okay. That's it. That's how simple it is. Have fun trying it out.